Hi, welcome to Virtual Reality. My name is Tony Pickler. Well, as some of you may know, I'm a little too young to have witnessed the Lombardi Packer era in the 1960s. However, I'm a child of the 70s, and so I saw Packer after Packer from that era be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. From Bart Starr to Forrest Gregg to Paul Hornung to Jimmy Taylor, and the list goes on and on and on. The guys from that era who received the call to go into the Hall of Fame. And then there was Jerry Kramer. Jerry Kramer was the person who threw that famous block in the Ice Bowl, as well as so many other important blocks on that legendary Packer sweep. But Jerry never got the call to the Hall of Fame until that fateful day on February 3rd, 2018. Jerry and his family and friends were waiting in a Minneapolis hotel room, anxiously awaiting a knock at the door from the Hall of Fame employees. And as they were waiting, and the tension was mounting, whether the call would come or not, there was a knock on the door. And everybody waited and held their breath as Jerry opened the door, only to find a maid waiting to clean the room. Well, it wasn't the right call. But then a Mr. Baker from the Hall of Fame knocked on the door. Jerry opened it and knew immediately that the call had come, that he was to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer in Canton, Ohio. He showed such enthusiasm and exuberance in answering that call as he hugged Mr. Baker and yelled at the top of his voice, "Yes!" But not all calls are like that. My call in these last months has been one hard to discern. As many of you know, the Norbertine Center for Spirituality at St. Norbert Abbey closed in August, and with it, my job ended. And about the same time, my wife Janine found out that she has cancer. So I wasn't in a hurry to find another position. I wasn't in a hurry to answer another call. And many opportunities came along. I interviewed for some, I applied for others, got rejected in some. The timing just wasn't right in others. And then there was this call from Resurrection Parish, one that seems to be working out, one that seems to be still in process, but it's a call that seems to be the right fit, especially as I talk to family and friends about their reaction to this call. In the book of 1 Samuel, for this Sunday's readings, Samuel receives a call from God, but he thinks that this call is coming from Eli. And 3 times Samuel goes to Eli, thinking that Eli is calling him in his sleep. And each time Samuel is told by Eli, "Go back to sleep, I didn't call you." And finally, Eli realizes that it is God who is calling Samuel, and so he instructs Samuel, just answer the call of God when he calls next. And Samuel does, and in a way, the rest is history. In John's Gospel on Sunday, Andrew and another disciple hear about Jesus and his identity as the Messiah. They go to have dinner with Jesus and realize that they want to follow him. And then Andrew goes and calls his brother Simon, who becomes Peter. Some of the things to think about in terms of this call are this. As fishermen, do you think that these guys would just drop their nets, their livelihood, their ability to make money for themselves and for their family, and to follow a carpenter? A little hard to believe. And then there's Peter. Peter was married. We know that because later it's reported that he has a mother-in-law. Do you think he would drop everything without having some discussions with his wife? I hope not. And as many of you know who are married, you know that that would be a fast track to the divorce court, following that call without some conversation with his wife. There seems to be some discernment involved. Yes, they do follow Jesus, But they first have dinner with him and probably take time to think about it, to discern, is this the right thing to do? Was it the authentic calling that they were waiting for? So the main lesson is this. Last week we celebrated the baptism of the Lord. We looked at the fact that we're all called by our baptism to use our gifts and talents to make a difference for this world, in the ordinariness of the world. Not extraordinary, but ordinariness of the world. This week we're reminded by both Samuel and Andrew and Peter and the others that we are all called. Sometimes the call comes in the most extraordinary ways, but most often in the most ordinary of ways. We don't need to join a religious community or isolate ourselves in prayer all day to hear the call. Rather, the call comes through the people and the events of the ordinary day in and day out living of our lives. Hopefully, like Jerry Kramer, our yes to the call and callings of our lives will be as enthusiastic as his on that fateful day in February 2018 in Minneapolis, and that we will be able to say yes to the call and the callings of Jesus. God bless you.